There's Doc and Sassy and Sam. They all think I ought to have something for them. Haven't got any video this week. It's Saturday, January 9th. It's been really cold the last few days for here. Lows getting down just below freezing, and high is not much different than that. And then last night it got down to like 24. So Dakota has took off to the woods today, try to get some firewood logs out. And it's about 10:30. I've gotten all of my chores done. Neither cooked me breakfast. I thought I'd go try to bust a little firewood. But before we go bust firewood, I want to tell a story, tractor story. 3 H's sitting here. Each one of them's got a different story. This H right here had belonged to my Uncle Don. I got it from my cousin. This one was the one they called the new H, and you can see the tires have got plenty of tread on the back of them. My Uncle Don would have put them on when he was working at Goodrich in late 70s, early 80s. They give their workers a discount on tires, and so this H is a 49 model. And my cousin had told me, Don had 2 H's, and the other one he had was the first one I ever raked hay with. I ever raked period with. It was all on 6 volt and all original, but it was an older one. I don't know how old because it's gotten away from me, but it was set up at one time to run on kerosene. It had the other hole in the hood, hot manifold, and stuff like that. I put a 3-point on this one since I had it, but my cousin gave it to me because he had managed to leave it set through a winter with water in it instead of antifreeze in it. It cracked a hole in the top of the head, and believe it or not, I took the valve cover off and JB welded the hole and fixed it up. And I've used it a lot. Hadn't done much lately. These old tractors, they get to be antiques because you figure out that they're so much more difficult and hard on you to drive. But I like to drive these old H's. That one there works really good. I put a 3-point on it so we could use it on a sycamore. This next H was also belonged to a man named Don, but his name is Boyer, Don Boyer. I bought this tractor from him. I gave him what he asked for it. And you can see the motor's real oily. The motor does smoke a little bit on it. But he was telling me that his dad had bought that when it was not very old. He didn't know if his dad bought it brand new or not, but it was not very old. And I've not seen and you can see the hood sticking up on it, but that's because they've stuck an alternator up under the hood on it. But the sheet metal on that one is totally straight. He said they had a sickle mower for it, and basically all it had ever done was mowed their place. And it's got a brand new back tire on the other side, and the one that was on this side when I got it from him, he said was on it when his dad bought it new, and it had some tread on it. It had never even been plumbed to have an external hydraulic going out the back with a plug-in on it. And that's a pretty good tractor. I've used it quite a little bit as well. We pulled the drill with it before. I got a little offset disc, pulled with it quite a little bit, planting some little spots of wheat. And this H had belonged to a man that lived down here on the end of the Spooklight Road, and it had a hand crank lift blade on the front of it. And I don't know if I've ever run the serial number on this one, but I actually traded the guy that wound up with this tractor. I traded him a propane tank for it, and he brought me the tractor and left the propane tank. And this thing makes a lot of rear end noise, but I had told Dakota if he wanted it, I'd give it to him so he could have an H, because I had one. And my dad had an H, and it had belonged to his dad, who had homesteaded this place where we're at right now. Matter of fact, if we looked out that window over there, we could see all the buildings that my granddad built that was on this place. But Scott, my oldest son, has that H, and it is painted up and looks really nice too, but it's kind of in a state of it could use some repairs. It hadn't had a road gear for 25 years or more, and it actually has gotten a lot of use. And I was thinking about this morning as a front end loader that goes with it, and Scott has put it on there. And after using anything newer with a front end loader on to have power steering, you would wonder why you would ever want a front end loader on one, but he has it on there. However, this one here, since Dakota has gotten it, and you can see it set there, right there, for quite some time, the thing has locked up in the rear end on it. Motor runs good, but the rear end's locked up. But we've got another one. We're just going to swap the whole rear end off, because the rear end and transmission on that one was making quite a little bit of noise before. So each of my boys has an H, and I did not do that right. I should go ahead and tell the rest of the story. And just for somebody like Russ Thomas that might think they want to know, that right there is a W6 McCormick Deering, the first tractor I ever owned. When I bought it, it was at an auction, and it didn't look much different than that right there. It had been painted with Tractor Supply Company paint or something, and that paint out in the weather had turned pink, but the motor was stuck on it, and I got the motor freed up on it. I gave $100 for that tractor when I was 13. But there's another tractor that deserves to be in on this story. So my dad helped both of my boys paint up their H's. We took them to some parades before, but this tractor here has never been to the parade. It don't know nothing about that parade and stuff. And it's just an M. We run the numbers on it. I think it's a 46. And if it's a 46, it's not an earlier tractor, because it has the bent shifter. Of course, those can be changed really easily. My boys and I, this was my dad's bush hog tractor, and he'd helped each one of them fix one up, and I told them I'd bankroll the project if they'd help me paint it and everything, and we'd give it back to my dad for Christmas. And so we went and stole this a few years ago from the fence row. No, it was where he was clearing for a fence row on a place I bought from him, and it had a little 6-foot bush hog behind it, and a guard to keep the brush and rocks and stuff from hitting you, and it was rough. It had never been nothing but rust color since we'd had it. But he had bought this from Edwards's when Goodrich closed and they moved to Alabama. They came back here a few years later and had a sale and sold all their equipment, decided to sell their land here. And Dad did not get this tractor bought at the auction, but the guy wanted him to pay $5 more than what he bid for it at the auction after the sale, and so Dad did, and he bought it. And I don't know that we've ever been sorry. We really haven't done a lot to it, but we've used it a lot. And so I went and found another set of back tires, and we put pretty good back tires on it, and I had those front tires, and we changed them all over. And while we had it tore apart, we painted it, and we waited too long to get the decals ordered before Christmas. And so I told the boys it never had any decals on it that we knew of anyway. You could barely see the circle and the M. And so I told them I had these Farmall emblems off of a 560 hood. And so we took them off and put them on this hood. And I can't remember. I believe we may have put a new muffler on it at that time. That muffler may have been on it when we got it out of the woods. I'm not sure. We got it fixed up to where it start back on a push button and everything. And Dad kind of let all that go. But we probably should have took the oil pan off the motor and beat the dents out of it. But that's a fine running tractor, and we've had twice we intended to take it to a parade. Once we had it all buffed off, all the dust knocked off of it everywhere, and had put fuel in it and everything, and was ready to take it to a parade. And it rained that morning. They canceled the parade, and so it's probably sat there for about a year and a half or something like that. Need to get it out and drive it a little bit. But this tractor too, the road gear doesn't work, so it wouldn't be one you could take on a tractor drive, but it'd be a neat tractor driving parade. This old tractor was the bush hog tractor, and they've got the back wheels turned in on it for some reason, but they're not fluted, but they've got 3 weights on the inside on both sides. It has a bunch of weight on the back of it, but that's Dad's M. My oldest son Scott painted the circle and the M back on it, traced it off of what he could see that was there. And I think it looks as good as regular emblems would. Hey y'all, thanks for watching my videos. I got some things I need to get around and get mailed to people, and probably try to do a video of that early next week. We'll talk to you on the next one.